Inclusive Innovations 2023. Creating a more accessible future together. Panel discussion, part 2.
I want to just kind of begin to round things towards a close by thinking about myth busting, because myth busting is something that we've all got to do. I often say to teenagers, if I'm running a session, if you don't like self-advocacy as a visually impaired person, one of the best things that you can do is try and work with others and teach yourself to like self-advocacy, because if you can get to like it, you'll have a better life. And it's really simple. Whether you're out at a nightclub, you're going out for dinner, you're at a sports match, you're at work, you're going to study, wherever you are in life, if you can advocate for yourself in a positive and assertive way, you'll have a better life. And that includes even just saying what it is that you need, what it is that you want to happen, but doing it in a nice way. And myth busting is important. I'm minded of an example, a myth busting example, and it'll be familiar to lots of you. I was traveling in India, in fact, on this occasion, and the passenger assistants came along with a wheelchair. And I was training at the time for a 10K race. And I thought, I don't want to be mean to the person who turns up with a wheelchair. They're just doing what they've been asked to do. And I said to the guy who appeared with the wheelchair, he said, "Oh, are you Robin?" I said, how are you doing? He said, "Sit." And I thought, So I said, "I'll tell you what, why don't you sit in the wheelchair?" This is to the assistance guy. "You sit in the wheelchair and give me directions, like straight ahead or left or right, and tell me which approach to take, and I'll push." And he said, no, this is for you. And I said, "No, I don't want to sit in it because I'm training for a 10K race." I said, "But also my legs are fine. It's the eyes that don't work." And he just sort of smiled and then parked the wheelchair. And I was thinking, you have to myth bust constantly when you live your life as a visually impaired person. It's like the kind of suggestion that you might want to take the lift, right? And that's a very, very quiet correlation of disability with sickliness that's happening when people do that. So I went to a meeting with a colleague in my team who has just run 6 marathons around the world over the last 2 years. And they were offering him the lift. And he said, "Do you know what? I'd love to take the stairs." And the company, they were amazed. They said, "Oh, will it be, is it going to be okay?" He says, "Totally fine. Loads of blind people live in houses with stairs. They go up and down them all the time. And they manage stairs. And also, a lot of us like the exercise of going up and down the stairs. So just offer people, lift or stairs." So a little bit of myth busting from me. Amit, do you want to go next? What's a common myth that you've had to bust?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? It's not so much a common myth. I think I when I'm out and about, I look quite confident. I got my white cane, or I've got a guide dog. When I got my guide dog, I was given a little badge, a little plaque, and it said, "Please help me." It's bright yellow with black writing on it. And they said, "Oh, Amit, if you're ever in trouble, hold this up." I'm never going to hold this little thing up saying, "Please help me." Never. But it's when you're at stations and you hear announcements saying your train is now leaving for platform 4 and you're stood at platform 2. I don't know where platform 4 is. Everybody runs and expects you to kind of follow them. It'd just be nice for someone to turn around and say, "Do you want a hand?"
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's I think sometimes on social media, I get asked a lot, how do I approach? So I want to offer help, but I don't want to offend someone. I don't want to offend that person by asking them if they need help. Simple, just ask them, "Are you okay? Would you like some help?" If they say no, walk away. If they say yes, "How can I help you?" That's it. As a visually impaired person, I have to look confident because I know I'm vulnerable when I'm out and about. I can't pull out my mobile phone in busy areas. I've kind of got my laptop in my bag. I've got lots of tech in my bag. We all know how much tech for visually impaired people costs. So it's all in my bag. I'm not letting that bag go, but I have to look confident. So it's just nice when someone recognizes you or sees you and spots you and just says, "Are you okay? Would you like some help?" That's it. For me, it's not so much, but it's I know where I'm going, but it'll be just nice to have someone take me out the station instead of having a 15-minute wander around with my white cane.
Yeah. And if in doubt, ask. I've got friends who are blind, and I pretty much know that they're not going to need help with something, but I'll still ask. Sometimes they'll tease me for asking, but I just ask because, it's no harm, is it? And it's no harm to decline support. If someone says, "Do you want a sighted guide?" Quite often what I'll say is, no thanks, but thanks for asking. Would it be okay if I just followed you? That works quite well. Jonathan, any thoughts from you?
Okay, so I don't know if it's a myth or it's an incident. I was reminded, it's probably sitting next to a doctor that did it. I was reminded of when my appendix was removed. So I was lying in hospital pretty much all day, being rehydrated, and then I'm in an RN as to whether it's the right thing to take. So I get down to, it was about midnight, get wheeled down into I don't know what the right words are, but they're just about to stick my mask on, and they goes, "Can you sign this?" I said, and they said, "Oh, you're registered blind. Are you able to sign this?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine. I can sign it. This is consent form. But you're blind. You can't." I said, "If you read it to me, I can sign it. That's absolutely fine." "Oh, no." I said, "I've lost my glasses." I said, "Okay, you can sign it."
I love it. Parham, any thoughts from you?
So for me, the myth that I've had to bust, and this is one of those little ones that follow you, just like the lift versus the stairs kind of myth, is the blind people should be so miserable kind of myth. And no one really says it out loud, but I kind of like understand where it comes from, because like a big population has something that you don't have, so you must be, what's the right word? So sad, unhappy, miserable. Pick whichever you want. And I think the way I've kind of like learned to teach people about this is through humor and making jokes about my blind. Like one of the ones that I like to do very often is like, oh yeah, looking forward to quote unquote seeing you next week. And just doing that, I've noticed, puts people a lot at ease, and they can kind of like start regarding this thing that was an elephant in the room as now a thing that we can discuss. And that's usually the thing that happens next is like, "Oh, cool. Oh, by the way, do you dream in colors?" And then I'm like, that was kind of like waiting at the top of your mind for months, and I'm glad I made this joke, because now we can actually talk about it. And no, I don't. But I think I would say one of the ways that you can self-advocate that has worked for me at least is using an attribute you have, in my case it's humor, to kind of make it okay to talk about blindness, and whatever it is for you, use that, and then we all will benefit, like orange dots left by Amit.
So cool. Brilliant. Thanks, Parham. I'm going to come to Alice next. Any kind of myths that you've had to bust in your work with companies or in general?
Yeah, I mean, mine's a little less people-centric than the panels, but I'll still go with it. Quite often I have to bust the myth that someone will just say, my products are already helping people. They're already helping the blind and no vision community. They're already accessible. And I'll go, how? And they go, well, we have a QR code on pack, and that leads to a .com. And in the .com, if you go to the menu and you find the redirect or whatever page you need, you can actually find the allergens. So it's really easy to find. And I'll go, no, to start with. And it takes, it takes a lot of passion for someone to do that. But I would always argue that if you're fully sighted, any passion you may have for making something accessible cannot match any insights or the lived experience of someone who is actually blind or has low vision. And if you haven't asked anyone to audit your products, if you don't have screen readers solutions, if you don't have anything in place, you can't actually argue that your products are accessible. So yeah, I just have to go through and essentially break brand managers' hearts, really.
I love it. I love it. There you go. There's some advice. Break brand managers' hearts. I'm going to take that with me. Jos, I wonder if there's a myth that you've had to bust regularly or something that springs to mind.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier, but the myth that I know what I need, and people may be thinking I'm too proud to ask for what I need, but often I find it really hard to tell what I need. I wrote a piece about walking with a signal cane, which is something that people absolutely abhor to start doing. And once they actually do it, they're like, wow, people part like the Red Sea. It's great. from personal experience, at some point I start noticing I'm not, going out to the theater anymore or concerts, and it's not really because I don't want to ask people to do this. And at some point I realized it's just too much trouble to go through the agenda of what's playing and actually being in time buying tickets. So now I instruct people, you just look, and if you see something that you think I might like, invite me, and, there you go. So I think also for, organizations and companies, it's important to realize that sometimes you need to work with somebody to actually figure out what's gonna make it work. And then the second myth would be, once you've fixed it, it's not fixed forever, because, we all change. I grow older, I grow more experienced. So at some point, I think, I might not be as enthusiastic about teaching as I used to be, just because it's no challenge anymore. So, they fix, you can now teach with these tools that we got you, but it doesn't stop there. So those
stuff changes over time.
Yeah, so those would be my two. I don't know. I don't always know what I need, and when I do know, it's probably not forever.
Fantastic. So this has been a brilliant discussion. Just as we close, what I'm going to do is ask each person to basically give me a very simple, or to share with the audience, a very simple tip for how we can become a more inclusive innovator as an individual and in the role that we perform at work. And just a really simple one, and I'll start. So my tip is going to be, bring your whole self to work. Yeah. And I think I'm going to come to Amit actually next.
Mine's simple: ask questions, but not inappropriate questions. Just ask questions.
Amazing. Jonathan?
I'd say listen to the answers.
Listen to the answers? Yeah, cool. Alice?
I'd always say look forward, look at the next thing that's coming and see how you can incorporate that.
Brilliant. Jos?
Mind your barriers, mind your energy.
Yeah. Mind your barriers, mind your energy. I like that. That's kind of got think about the structures and the things that are in place, but also be mindful of your own energy. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, because Amit is this really energetic guy, but
yeah,
we don't want to run past ourselves. I think.
What about you, Parham? The tip for becoming a more inclusive innovator as an individual?
I guess this doesn't get said a lot in an innovation circle, but do what's working. Continue doing what's already working. Don't in the breakneck speed of innovation, don't drop the things that were working well until yesterday before you decided to innovate. So keep what's working. Thanks.
Brilliant. Keep what's working. I love it. Alice, Jos, Parham, Jonathan, Amit, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was amazing. I was sort of thinking I should be taking notes here, but I didn't. I listened. I actually put the ears into action. But this is fantastic. So now you've all been listening, right? You've all been signing, reading, understanding. So now's your chance to ask questions to these wonderful group of people. And we have some microphones, which are, what I understand, somewhere out there. I can't see a thing because there's a light on me. Do we have some? We don't have any microphones. Or someone told me. Could we, grab a couple of these microphones? Thanks, Amit. Yeah, and you mind? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so I've got the light on me here, but maybe there's some people who've got a question. If when you ask your question, if you could just say who you are and who the question's for, then that would be great. Thank you. Anybody? Here we have a hand down here. I could see that. Wow, that's good.
Hi. It's working. So my name is Freek, which is a Dutch name. It's like Drake with F, Freek. And I'm from Hebel. And my question is, we're talking about innovations. So I'm wondering, maybe some of you have ever beta tested some innovations which were meant to make things more accessible. But I'm wondering what your horrible experiences are with some of these beta tests. So when something was meant to make things accessible and it was exactly the opposite. So I was wondering if you have any experiences with this.
Yeah, can I dive in there? I'm just going to say very early beta versions of apps. And I think what happens the more that you get involved in beta testing is you become more realistic as a person and your expectation level shifts. But I think when you start testing early versions of an application, it's really easy to go in with an inflated idea of what you're expecting. And actually the purpose of the beta testing is to try and iron out, bugs and faults and problems. So yeah, I'm not going to mention any names of individual apps, but I just think let's be fair to people. Actually, we need to just become more realistic about early versions of software. So yeah, you mind? I don't know if anyone else has.
Yeah, for me, speaks to the ask questions and listen to answers bits that Jonathan and Amit mentioned. Because I have a really popular article about how I write software, I often get approached by people saying, "Oh, I want to change the world, and now we're going to have visually impaired developers everywhere." And I'm initially like, "Yes, let's do it." And then they come up with these solutions. I think the one that I just remember now is one where you can feel the code in a tactile way. And I think the idea is great. I think the fact that people do these things without doing any kind of user research and they start building prototypes before they even go talk to an actual developer is really not so great. So I had to kind of like feel the code indentations with like actual physical buttons that moved under my finger. Not so great. Don't do it.
Anything else? Anybody else? Any questions? You have another one? I can't see from here. You're going to have to wave it to Aman here in the middle.
So what you need to do is raise an audible hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Cassie.
Hi, my question goes a bit beyond technology, but I want to ask about certain aspect that has been alluded to by Amit, especially in his account of sort of his life journey, and that is that apart from life and society becoming more inclusive day by day, because I want to look at the positives rather than the negatives. Among some of my friends who are totally blind, there are still some who are very negative and are and see themselves as victims. Can I get some sort of advice or some words and thoughts from all of you about kind of what you would say to them to perhaps begin to change their perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me it was peer support. I went through the whole being angry. Why am I angry? I wasn't even sure why I was angry. But when you are angry, all you see is the negativity. Looking back kind of now, for every one bad incident I've had 100 good ones. But it's the negative ones that take the effect and that kind of hold you back. And I found that when I was surrounded by others who have kind of going through that sight loss journey, who have been there, who can understand when I talk about things, that they can appreciate, how frustrating it is. It slowly just started to dissipate. It is really hard. It's a tough one. But what I would say is be there for your friends. Have the conversation. Ask them, why are you angry? What can I do to help you? What can we do to make it a positive? Find help. Maybe they're just a little bit scared of asking for the help, or they don't know who to turn to. And I think you kind of feel you have to be very vulnerable when you're with your friends. Because I guess you can understand what they're going through, and you just have to support them. And everybody takes for me, it was very much like, losing something, losing a loved one when I lost my sight. I was grieving the fact that I lost my sight. Everybody grieves at a different stage. It takes everybody a whole different time. Some people are quick, some people it takes years and years, but there will be a time when they'll be ready to kind of move forward. You just have to be there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think also never underestimate your potential to be a catalyst for change. And sometimes just journaling, either writing stuff down or even creating voice notes on your phone about situations where you've challenged something that's broken or doesn't work, or there's an accessibility problem, you can actually be an influencer of change quite easily, even if that's about getting a response from a company, getting a conversation going, getting an action taken. And I think if you log those occasions and make a deliberate attempt to log the situations where something actually is recorded and progressed, and your views have been taken on board, and you keep those voice notes or those notes on your phone, over time, they almost form a little journal. And I think journaling is a really helpful thing for all of us, whatever our situation is, just in terms of gratitude, but also managing our own feelings. Maybe also picking us up when we feel negative. Everybody has a bad day. I tell my team to create a folder in their inbox called Cheer Up. And I'll send something sometimes and I'll say, look, this was an amazing piece of work. Look at the feedback from the client. Would you please put that in your Cheer Up folder? Just so that when you're having a bad day, you can take a little look. And actually what you realize is, do you know what? I'm doing a lot of great stuff. I'm just having a bad day. So yeah, journaling.
That's a great one. I love that.
And Jos, please challenge me on these because you're the psychologist.
No, I would never.
One thing that has really helped for people that I worked with, because I've been doing coaching next to my job for like the past 4 years. Our brain, before it could interpret language and senses, was a goal-driven machine, and just setting goals and watching yourself go closer to them one step at a time does wonders for your sense of well-being, and also, oh wow, I can actually pull myself out of this. And I think one of the things that at least in my conversations with people who are visually impaired and have lost their sight in the middle of their life is, will I ever be able to do something now that I don't see? And I think this is a really great way to help your friend challenge that assumption or that fear by saying, okay, is there one thing that you want to do? And can I help you in any way to kind of like come up with steps on how to get there and help you stay accountable on making progress every day? And if they actually get far enough, I think their sense of worth and well-being is going to be very different than when they started.
Great. Everything that he said, but I would want to add. You need to look at, from a psychology perspective, for like the first step a person can take towards, where he or she wants to be. I think the thing to keep in mind is you often tend to shy away from negativity and fear and anxiety. So sometimes it helps to, do the counter thing. I believe in Buddhism they have this practice called death meditation, which it sounds like really, but just go, because everybody's trying to cheer you up. I know it's not that bad, but sometimes maybe you just need to go into how dark and gloomy things can look, and all the challenges that you are facing, and at some point people usually get sick of it themselves, and then okay, well, enough of this. And the other thing is, maybe you should not always be talking about it. Maybe you just need to take your friend out and do something fun. That could also help. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Rick. I have a question maybe for Amit with your guide dog. Do you think you might still need a guide dog in 6 years, let's say 2030, if you see with AI and the smart glasses? Would be nice to hear from the panel. How do you believe that everything will be automatic self-driving cars, but especially with regards to mobility. What is your vision with regards to 2030? What will be changed?
I guess with a guide dog, it doesn't have a built-in sat nav. I'm guessing with an AI dog, it might have a built-in sat nav. No, do you know what? I like the fact that I travel the world with a yellow Labrador. I talk to her like she can understand. Anybody watch Dog Squad on BBC will hear her talk back. But it's, I don't know. I like the fact that she was a catalyst in me getting back my confidence. She gave me the confidence, the motivation. I talk to her like I talk to anybody else. And I love the company. I think if there was smart glasses, I don't think they would ever replace my guide dog. I probably do 50-50. But I can't see my life without a guide dog. I like the fact that I have a guide dog.
I was just going to say, I think it's all about choice as well. Do you know, I absolutely love dogs. I think dogs are incredible creatures, and we probably should do more to appreciate them as in general. But actually for individuals, it's more about what's right for you. For some people, a guide dog will be the right option. But for some other people, it might be better for them to use technology or to use sighted support. And I guess the key thing is people have got options. So if a robotic guide dog, for example, can present another viable option, that might be the right option for some people. And it all comes down to choice, I think, at the end of the day, for me. Jonathan?
I think one thing that is really interesting, like another myth that I think we need to bust, and I think you talked about this, Robin, is I think one of them that we didn't discuss is blind people always stay where they were born and never move. And I have been an expat, and it's horrible. You cannot get a guide dog as an expat. You cannot move with your guide dog as an expat. You cannot, but yeah. So I think I'm rooting for technology to get to a point where either we can bust all the myths, or they become more of a viable replacement. I think so far, for me, in my personal experience as a really experienced white cane user, the speed at which I can walk is nowhere near comparable between the white cane and the guide dog, even with an app or like Envision or Biped. I love you guys. And stuff like that. So even with a sort of assistive technology like that, I've never come close to something that works as quickly as having a guide dog. But also that comes with lots of downsides. So please, choices are great.
I would definitely opt for like full body self-guiding suits that would run me everywhere, and I can totally envision this in 25 years, maybe even 15, maybe even 5. I mean, get to work, guys. You can do this. I mean, we can make self-driving cars. This should be easy.
Funnily enough, I was going to go for the Iron Man suit too. Exactly the same. But let's say that I was walking around the streets of South London a few years ago and tripped over a robot delivering pizza. And got to chat. So I was with my colleague, and the guy let her have a feel of this robot, and we explored it and checked it all out. And I said to him, "Could you turn this into a guide dog?" And he could see the cogs going round, and I think he probably went straight away and phoned Robin.
There is one, isn't there?
Yeah, I was just going to say on that exact note, there's a really interesting piece on RNIB Connect Radio, which is about the company called Starship, who make delivery robots, just on exactly this issue, because one of the things we wanted to do was try and say, look, a robot might know how to behave around a blind person, but we actually need to educate blind people about delivery robots. So what does it sound like? How big is it? What does it feel like? How quickly does it move? What noise does it make? What would it do if it turned up next to you when you were crossing the road? All those things that seem like common sense, but if you've never met a delivery robot, right, and particularly if you've never had useful vision, that could be something that is a challenge, and it's just about being mindful of that. On the self-driving car issue, I did travel for about 8 miles around Mountain View in a self-driving car on my own, and that was an incredibly liberating experience. And I have a lot of optimism for self-driving vehicles. I think people talk about the fact that you own a car and you'll own a self-driving vehicle. I don't think it will be like that. I think our relationship with self-driving vehicles will be that it's a service that you utilize in the same way that you might summon an Uber. You would, if you go to Austin or Phoenix, you can summon a Waymo. So Waymo One is the name of the app, and you can summon a Waymo vehicle, and it will come and pick you up, and it will confirm the destination that you're going to. And you can also interact via your phone and say, I want to pick my friend Jonathan up en route because he's going to come with us as well. Then we're going to go and pick up, Alice, and then we're going to go there. And we can arrange to pick everybody up just in the same way that you can do with an Uber. And then you have your evening out, and then you can drop everybody off on the way home. You can do that with a self-driving car. That'll become real. It's already real in some American cities, and it will become something that we all utilize. And, I'm ready.
I'm interested to know, Rick, what you think is going to be the future of 2023, but we'll pick up on that. Cool. Brilliant. Okay. Any more questions? Are we all good? We got one more there. Brilliant. And then I can let this panel take a break.
An extension to the guide dog question. Is there anything that a guide dog needs assistance with that technology might provide?
Oh, good question. Did you hear that? Anything that a guide dog might need assistance with that technology could provide?
Yeah, doggy sat nav.
Doggy sat nav.
Doggy sat nav. It's funny that the whole myth busting thing, that people think that dogs come to you with a built-in sat nav. They have no idea where anything is. No, do you know what? I don't know. This is a funny one. I don't think I've ever been asked this one. I'll ask. Do you know what? No, she's my dog is pretty good. She spends it. So if she needs to walk, if we're walking down the road and she needs to go, she's got a great routine, by the way. So she goes, regularly. But if we happen to go down the road and she needs to go, she's actually been trained to go over a drain. So she has one leg on the footpath, one leg on the road, straight in the drain.
Amazing.
Yeah, there you go. But do you know what? I'll go back to my dog and ask. I'll let you know.
Kika says.
Technologies that help you take care of her. That also
do you know what? No, I love the interaction with it. Anybody got a pet, the interaction you have with your dog. My guide dogs don't tend to get bathed. They tend to get groomed every day. That's your whole kind of morning routine and evening routine. But no, you know what? I'd never let technology take over any of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for so many people. If you're someone who loves dogs, what piece of technology could give you that kind of interaction? If you're interested in this, there is a product that Sony have in the market in Japan, and it's called Aibo, which is an artificial intelligence dog. It's quite small. It's about the size of a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, if you know what one of those is like. And the dog is being used in nursing homes and homes for older people across Japan, and it's for companionship. And if you ever get the chance to meet Aibo, which you hopefully will at some point soon, you can pat him and you can stroke him, and Aibo can be a he or she. So they used him, but it could be either. The other thing that I wanted to know was what happens if you rub its tummy? Because if a dog is standing up and you rub its chin and then you rub its chest, you know that you can only do that for so long, and then it'll keel over onto. And I wanted to try that with Aibo just to see if it would happen. So it did. It kind of quivered and quivered, and then eventually went onto its side for me to rub its tummy. So interacting with dogs just as creatures is incredible, and I think that's another bit of this equation that people need to kind of keep in mind as well. There'll be people for whom a robotic guide dog will be brilliant, and that'll be their choice. But I think into the future, there'll be a lot of people who still want to have that interaction with the dog and that incredible bond. It's all about choice.
Inclusive Innovations 2023. creating a more accessible future together.